Hi, this is our first podcast. We're Monkeyscrolls. We're going to be talking about Missing 411, The Hunted today. I'm Joseph Kiefer.
I'm Kiefer.
And I'm Caleb.
Alright,
I thought we were going in alphabetical order.
No one knows.
Joe introduced me first. Yeah, the alphabet's messed up.
Yeah, the alphabet is for sure wrong for us. So, a little background on Missing 411. What it is, it's a little documentary that, what was it even on? Amazon?
Yeah, it was on Amazon, which means that we exhausted Netflix, Hulu, and YouTube before finding that.
Yeah, we went to the end of the
Pretty
world.
surprising. Yeah.
I think I paid to watch it on YouTube.
Wow.
Oh, so he went
So I
to
went
the
all the
real
way down
dark
the rabbit
place.
hole.
He went all the
Yeah.
way back.
Mhm.
So, Missing 411 is actually originally based on this book series by a guy named David Paulides. Is how I'm gonna say his name. Don't not quote me on that because that's probably wrong. But it's a lot of people have gone missing in parks and national monuments, all that stuff. People disappear, and this documentary was specifically about hunters who, to me, would be the people you would expect the least to disappear in the woods. They probably have been hunting these areas for their whole lives, disappearing, without a trace, nothing.
Yeah, the show like to stress, like, this guy has been hunting for 500 years in these woods behind his house. And on this day, he disappeared. It's like, how? And the evidence that freaks me out, I say the evidence, there's a lot of it that freaks me out, but what stuck with me is that they had never found their equipment either.
And no equipment, no snack bar wrapper, no
Right.
gun magazine, no shirt. You think an animal rips you to pieces or takes you somewhere, you're getting your clothes everywhere. Nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and bodies
animals don't
disappear.
eat guns.
Yeah, I was gonna say guns. Guns not being found is the sketchy part.
Yeah, and these guys have like a pistol, a bow and arrow, a knife, a flashlight, a fucking rifle on them all at the same time. You know what I'm saying? They got some grenades and like nothing ever. They never find a single thing.
They never find a trace.
They just got a whole armory.
And this is what made me immediately text you guys.
Yeah.
Because right after I finished watching it, this documentary completely, it does not prepare you for the suggestions they make, because it goes paranormal quick. I thought I was missing, I was watching a missing persons case, like highly forensic. It's going to be like detectives and people not being able to find bodies. No, they go all in, and they don't leave anything on the table.
I love the way they do it too, because they the key word you used was they suggest, like what they're suggesting happens. They don't outright be like, I think it was Little Green Man, or I think it was X, Y, or Z,
Yeah,
or I think it was the Chupacabra. They don't tell you that. They're just, there's a guy in the woods and he's just like, I thought something crazy could be happening there.
There's a weird sound that we noticed in the background for like 3 hours. Then it went away, and we never saw Frank again.
Now, you know what my favorite part was about the first case?
Was the first case the old man sitting on the stump waiting
old
for his
man
party
on the
to come
stump.
back?
Yeah.
Okay, this is my favorite one as well.
But
Go
you know
ahead.
what my favorite part was the fact that his friend who was on the, they were like there was like 5 guys or whatever, and they were all 6 feet, 10 feet apart from each other in a formation to look for animals to shoot.
Yeah.
The one that was closest to him keeps saying he heard a weird sound.
That's what I was talking about, yeah.
Yeah, and well, because you mentioned it, it made me remember that the impression that I got was that the dude fell in some kind of trap.
Yeah, they
Like,
they they
like
talk
yeah,
about
What do you
that.
mean?
Like there was, they're like, because you say it went supernatural fast, but I feel like it was only like the last 30 minutes of a 2 hour documentary where they were like, oh yeah, maybe it's fucking
Yeah,
ghosts.
when I said fast, I meant abruptly. It
Yeah,
yeah.
because it didn't go fast. It
They
was
slow rolled it.
primarily missing persons. Yeah, it didn't come on fast in terms of like the start of the film, but abruptly they
yeah.
start throwing out weird stuff,
They take that
and
left
Yeah,
that's
turn,
it's
you're like,
towards the
wait,
end
what?
for sure.
which is
Right?
which is even more jarring because I watched the other 411 first with the kids, and they don't really go supernatural at all.
No, they don't, and I
And then
think
in
it's
this one,
easier
yeah,
to not because
yeah,
I mean it's
kids get
super
lost.
easy to believe. Kid walked off in the wrong direction, never saw him again. It's like that sucks because there's mountain lions, there's snow covering bodies
Yeah,
up, and it doesn't have to be supernatural. And in this case, I mean,
they
there's
just
still some
yeah. There's some wiggle
there's some
room there.
doubt.
Just, yeah,
Yeah,
Dad's been hunting here since 1901, and he's 85 years old now, so he knows these woods, and he also had no reason to stand up and walk around. So where's he at?
Yeah,
right.
but like they insinuate that one of the people says that it sounds like maybe a trap or something, and all I can think of is like how people uh, put like floorings, dig a hole, and somebody falls in, or they have those like ropes on a string that'll pick you up and snap your neck and fucking catch your foot and lift you into the tree or whatever in movies.
I was gonna
That's
say
all.
like some Scooby Doo stuff, like he falls
Yeah,
into a hole covered with leaves.
That's the old
yeah, that's
punky
all.
stick, man. People do shit
Well,
like
I
that.
mean, yeah. Well, what I'm thinking is like there's some kind of crazy cannibal serial killer in the woods that out there snagging old people with ropes.
If he wasn't absolutely surrounded on all sides by his friends and family, I'd be like, oh, sure. But that is the case that bugs me the most, because even if that guy went out there and his plan was to just be like, you know what, I lived my life. Maybe he went to the doctor, found he had cancer, and he's just like, I'm going to end it where I love, in the woods. And he just offed himself and didn't tell his family he was doing that. I, every single thing I could think of leads to evidence of his body somewhere.
Yeah.
There, nothing.
Yeah, and
Nothing being found bugs me so much.
you'd think you'd find something. I think the case that bothered me most was the one where those guys. I want to say it was in the Crazies in Montana. The Crazies is a mountain range in Montana, and those three
Oh,
guys that were going up to their hunting camp, and one guy's like, "Oh, we've got like a little stash this way. I'll go, I'll walk out
Mm-hmm.
and get it." And they found his boots uh during the search for him. I don't know if you guys remember this one.
Yeah, I remember this
Yeah,
one
yeah, and
clearly because it
they
freaked me
found
out
yeah
too.
they found his boots, and they're like, okay, so he got lost and he took off his boots in this like rocky area, but then like a year later they find his body 9 miles from his boots, and at first they're
Wait,
like,
wait, wait. They find his skull.
they find his skull, yeah.
They don't find the body. They find a clean
Yeah,
skull
they find
and the rest
remains.
of his gear.
So they find what's left of him from whatever happened. I mean,
He ain't
that's up in
alive.
the air. But but he ain't alive, and just that first they're like, well, hypothermia, but hypothermia, you'd think they find.
hypothermia doesn't clean out your skull, dude.
Yeah, well, not only that, but like hypothermia, you usually don't walk 9 miles hypothermic in the snow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you usually take off more than your boots. Like you look at the Dyatlov pass incident. Those kids in Russia that they
Hmm.
got hypothermic and they got all naked and shit. They you go nuts. And this guy,
Yeah, the removing clothes part is the only thing that made people say, "Oh, this is hypothermia." But
yeah,
every other sign pointed to no.
yeah,
And they also found when they found his gear, what was the most perplexing thing to me was like he didn't starve to death. He did. They found his gear with all of his food in it, like still packaged. Like there's no sign of him stressing over hypothermia or anything else that
Yeah,
would
they,
say
they
he was
found they found an
hypothermic
open
except for
energy
his
drink.
boot.
They found an open
Right.
energy drink and some food wrappers like on a stump by his backpack.
Yeah.
And the part that's nuts too is then they say that overpass that he was on or wherever was overlooking like a business, like he could see buildings.
It was
He could
a
see
farm. It was a
civilization.
farm. Yeah, he could see a
Yeah,
farm
hmm
right where they found his body, and I thought that one was really weird because this guy's they even talked about it. It's like we've been going out here for the last 15 years. He knew where our stash was of their little supplies they had out, and he went the wrong way for miles and miles and miles. Either he and
Right.
it's like he took off his boots and then went for a walk and killed himself. I especially liked they because they go that supernatural way, but they didn't go right away. They really, I think, played the is there someone going to like national forests and killing people
hmm
like
yeah.
It
that.
made you think that for sure.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, they played that pretty good.
if there was a person out there who did that to him, that would explain everything. Because otherwise, what the hell? The only other things I could think of, I don't know if you guys tried to form your own theories while you're watching it, but
Oh,
I
for
don't
sure.
know if he like found mushrooms or something and was tripping and absolutely out of his mind started taking his clothes off and he died and he had his stuff rearranged in a weird way because he was not right in his head.
Yeah, he's just cooking out in the woods, high as shit. I did
That
not. I didn't think
yeah.
about that.
Otherwise, somebody killed him. That I mean, I'm going out. If it wasn't perplexing, they wouldn't have made a movie about it. But I'm just going way out there trying to think of what the hell could have happened. Otherwise, the farmers, the nice farming family that they interviewed, where he was found on their property, basically. I mean, they killed him and put him there.
Yeah, maybe they're fucking
It's like
crazy
he
serial
seemed like a
killers.
nice guy.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
don't know what else it could
His
have been.
brains tasted good.
His brain tasted fine. I don't know what was wrong with him, why he had to die for. Yeah, I don't know what it could have been because that that is probably the craziest one. Because there's no reason for him to not go
Yeah,
straight back to camp.
yeah, just like, oh man, I lost my way. I'll wait out till the fog clears and then go back. Like, for all of them, it was kind of like that. It's like there's no reason for this guy to continue on where he's going unless he was suicidal, or I guess like you said, on drugs, or someone killed him. If we're staying in like the realm of reality, without going too far off the deep end,
hmm
those are your likely things that happened. He's
Yeah, you try to like use all the rational reasons first. And I threw out the crazy label way too soon because uh, it ended on a high note for me. You guys remember the lady who saw the predator?
okay. So we're gonna get into the supernatural part because it starts out like we it really does start out where they're like maybe someone's there's a serial killer in the forest and stuff or something like that, or maybe these people just killed themselves, and they really start off like that, and then all of a sudden it turned into a Bigfoot documentary for about 15 minutes, and it just out of nowhere.
They never say Bigfoot was my favorite part.
No,
They never say aliens either.
they never directly say Bigfoot or aliens, which honestly
It's
was
as if
nice.
he was lifted up into the air.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what are you saying? You're not talking about big eagles.
You
You're-
just
you're
say-
saying a UFO.
Just say fucking little green man.
considering Big Eagle. But no, for sure. Like, so the first supernatural thing that they start listing, we'll get to the Predator, but the first supernatural thing is like a transition into a Bigfoot documentary because they show these old dudes camping in this campground. It's like, of course, it's a campground that like nobody knows where it's at except for the secret fucking club.
We've been coming here since 1960, and no one
Yeah.
knows where it's at but us.
We don't tell nobody nothing. And
It
they,
was
like,
a pretty cool fort, though.
A solid
yeah, it was
fort.
nice.
They had like
And-
a grouping of trees that they put doors around. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then it's
Anyways.
like we see crazy shit, we see crazy things happen all the time, and we see, what else do we see? We see all kinds of stuff.
Well, they
We
talk
hear all
about
kinds of
like we
scary
see
things.
something in the woods that ain't a bear. It looks almost human. They're
They
heavily
played up.
insinuating it's Bigfoot
Yeah,
without saying it's Bigfoot.
but then
And
like as soon as they start hinting about like something in the woods, they have this audio clip,
oh my god,
and they're just like, "Yeah, this is what we heard." And of course, you have the classic like, experts have examined this. It's not been edited. Blah blah blah. Explanation, and it's just these things hooting at them from the woods. And there's two that are communicating, and then of course these fucking crazy people start hooting back at them. And I mean, I've been doing that. I was so shook by it. I've been doing that sound for about 2 weeks. It's pretty fantastic. They just hear like how does it sound? Guys, like ooh, like that the whole
dude,
time.
There
no,
you go.
you have it exactly perfect, and I hate it so much.
and then the crazy people start hooting back at them, and then they respond back to them, and then whatever monster is in the woods just starts grumbling like at them, and I'm like, it's fucking jarring.
Well, and then these hunter guys are sitting like, well, we've got all our guns and stuff, and we're thinking we might have to shoot our ways out of here right now. And I'm like, oh no, don't fight Bigfoot. He's bigger than you.
Dude, imagine if they just solved Bigfoot back in the 70s or whenever that happened. Dude. They just imagine if they just went guns a-blazing and caught a Bigfoot.
My life would be
I
complete. My mission would be over.
so I remember that part of the film. Obviously, I don't remember. Was there a missing person out of that one, or did they just want to tell a Bigfoot story?
They just wanted
People
to
had
tell a
gone
Bigfoot
missing
story.
in that area.
Oh,
Okay, but not the
way
group
they,
of people they were interviewing,
Not
the
right?
way they connected it was that there was like 3 to 5 people that had gone missing within a 5 mile radius of that area.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. Gotcha.
You know,
Yeah,
you
they
know
did
what?
like to talk about hot spots. They
Mhm.
said this area is a hot spot for missing persons.
Yeah,
So
that place was
that's what a tie-in.
that place was central to a hotspot. What's interesting is if you think of like there's a serial killer in the woods, or you think of something would have to lead a guy around to make this happen. It's like a Bigfoot. Theoretically, we don't know how intelligent they are, so they could be smart enough not to tell you stuff, like be like, I speak English too, but like maybe they could be like, let's be friends, and they hold your hand and bash your head and drink your energy drink.
Yeah, they might. I mean, the thing that makes me, especially with Bigfoot documentaries, because you guys know I watch a lot of that bullshit. And I really like that this one didn't automatically interview the like most redneck person they could find that was like, yeah, I like to fuck Bigfoot. Me and him hang out and drink beer and have sex. They didn't like,
This is a trailer he comes and knocks on and
yeah,
gives me clumps of his hair. Here it is in the Ziploc.
yeah. They didn't. They like didn't go that. It was like just the California rednecks out in the woods going, yeah, something's out here, man. I don't know.
These are the
Yeah.
trails we like to hike when we're on acid. Something weird goes on out here.
And of course, like I said, they never mention Bigfoot. So it's a smart bit of filmmaking on their part, because when you're looking at mysteries, anything, you want to come up like with your own solutions or whatever. So it's clearly they're referencing Bigfoot, but you still get hooked in when you're like, oh shit, are they talking about Bigfoot?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know any of the past about the guy David, the that does these has written the books and everything. But
I
he's
don't.
actually side note, he's got a couple other documentaries that he's done or books. I'm not sure exactly about Bigfoot specifically though. He's like a Bigfoot guy.
Oh, okay.
So that's interesting that he never directly like he doesn't hammer the Bigfoot point. We probably make it sound like he does, but it's really only like 15-20 minutes of this documentary where they talk about that being a possibility.
It's I like Bigfoot stuff, but I'm not 100% on a Bigfoot like kick all the time.
Yeah,
But it's executed perfectly. This is about as good as a Bigfoot thing gets, I think.
definitely. But the real crazy person is after this Bigfoot part where they scared the shit out of me with Bigfoot noises is this lady in Ohio out hunting deer.
in her backyard.
in her backyard. So that's the part that tripped me out. Her husband is, first of all, her husband is this crazy doctor.
Some kind of intelligent man. I'm not sure.
He says
That's all I gathered.
What was it? He's
You know,
like an
his
ophthalmologist.
evidence was the sketchiest part.
His evidence, yeah. So he's like an ophthalmologist who has decided that he was gonna research weird shit. I don't know where he comes from, but he's like 107 years old, and his wife is the only redneck woman that he could convince to mate with him. I guess, and so she goes out hunting. This is like the very end of the documentary. They're talking about missing people, and then they start bringing on. It's like they disappeared out of the sky. And here's this woman in Ohio who's hunting in her own backyard. And she goes on to tell us she saw the fucking predator in her backyard. I'm talking like Arnold Schwarzenegger predator.
Yeah, she's up. So the reimagining of it with the CG looked exactly like Predator from 1980s. Just and the way she described it was like out of the corner of my eye, a piece of saran wrap just crawled from tree to tree. And it's just like, well, that's terrifying to imagine. It's funny the way she described it.
Yeah. But
the CG was so bad.
No. It was pretty great. My whole thing is it could be a predator, it could be alien. They talk about how at the same time kids that were playing marching band or whatever in the football field saw a UFO or a ball of light,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
It's pretty heavily implied that it's like aliens or alien cloaking device. I'm over here saying, how come nobody's talking about Bigfoot with camo?
Yeah, I didn't know what kind of like similarities they're trying to draw between lights in the sky and the predator in the forest.
I think
but they tried hard.
I think it was just that it happened around the same time.
I mean,
it's just such different occurrences.
Yeah.
It's like, what are they trying to say?
It was definitely, to me, that was the low point in the documentary, because before I loved like thinking it was some serial killer in the woods, and I loved the Bigfoot stuff, and then it was just like, and then we saw the predator. I was like, what?
Yeah, and some credibility was lost on me when it goes back to the ophthalmologist guy who's sitting in his office and he's holding her flip phone. He's just like, it's an old man trying to understand technology. He's like, her pictures take a native resolution of different than the pictures.
Look at the pixel count. Look at a pixel on this stupid phone.
It's just, why is this? So her phone takes 500 by 400 pixel,
right?
And this is 372,
that just came off as,
and it's just like,
yeah, it just came off as grandpa doesn't understand like that old phones don't work very well sometimes.
All I'm saying is, ain't nobody seen Bigfoot. We got an invisible thing crawling in the trees, and people are going missing.
So you're going Bigfoot's got active camo, huh?
Yeah, I got Bigfoot is the aliens.
Oh.
We got all these UFOs that we can't explain hovering over woods and shit. I'm saying Bigfoot's ain't a monkey. I'm saying Bigfoot's came from another planet to check us out.
Yeah, my money is definitely on people going into national parks to hurt people for fun. And the only one that was like explicitly saying supernatural stuff's going on, which was the old lady. I think that might just be a crazy family.
Yeah,
I think she's probably just lost her marbles a little bit.
She for sure has like stigmata in her eye or whatever, and saw something.
Right,
stigmata in her eye. Jesus.
But what I'm just saying is, if you write off that one, the rest of them could be crazy people out killing people in the woods.
Dude, I could go in the woods and go ooh, to some hunters.
Exactly, and I think someone going in the woods hurting is probably the safest bet, because you look at people like Israel Keys, that serial killer who would just travel the country. He had like kill boxes and shit, and he would just go kill people.
We're in Joe's world now.
Yeah.
I need that expertise.
Well, you know, it's things like that. There's
if one thing explains everything, it's
yeah.
it's the easiest explanation.
hmm I don't think
With the
there's
Occam's
ever
razor.
there's not gonna be one. I don't think there is one, but explanation for all this stuff. But you look at things that could be maybe solved. Serial killer or some type of person with malicious intent out in the woods. For some of these others,
Or somebody who's suicidal.
yeah, suicidal, or a moment of psychosis, or you know, the reality of life. Despite how much I love supernatural and Bigfoot and all that stuff, the reality
I
of
would
life
love for it
is
to just be UFOs picking people up.
yeah, it'd make it so much easier because then it'd be like, well, yeah, of course it was aliens, but it's so much more, and reality is grounded in so much more than seeing Saran wrap in the woods.
Yeah, but the documentary, it just does a great job of leading you there.
Yeah.
It's
which
fantastic.
is its strong suit. I'm not giving up on the fact that Bigfoot may be technologically advanced. Where the hell did Atlantis go? You know what I'm saying? That could have been a Bigfoot city.
Yeah.
They all their feet were too big. It fell off and landed in the ocean.
A Bigfoot city.
You know what I'm saying? Dude, they used to have giants, bro. Ask the ancient Greeks. We're about to get into history. I just watched that Joe Rogan podcast where he talking to the other guy about them doing mushrooms in ancient Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm just fucking ready to find out Bigfoot is actually from the Planet X, bro. I'm combining them. Everybody thinks it's either monkeys or aliens, but I'm thinking monkey aliens.
I mean, that's the hope. The reality is probably less entertaining than the documentary.
Yeah, reality
and
your
imagination,
but yeah,
that doesn't take away from how perfect this documentary was. This was a 10 out of 10 for me.
It was great. I was surprised.
I'll hard recommend it every single time anyone wants to talk about. They need a documentary suggestion. Missing 411: The Hunted. The other one.
And if anybody,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
I was gonna say, if anybody hears this while it's still free on Amazon Prime, you should definitely watch it.
Absolutely. And like Joe was saying, the first one was all right. I liked watching it because it's like, oh, sad kids are missing. I'd give that a 7 or 8 out of 10 just because it was okay. But this one hooked you in, and then really just after it had its fangs in you, it just
turned you upside down.
Yeah, it was just like here's some shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I am considering writing a book about technologically advanced Bigfoots, but you guys will have to stay tuned for that.
I mean, I'll proofread that every day.
So yeah,
I think I could find enough evidence.
I think there's a general consensus. Then, take a 2 hours out of your weekend and watch this Missing 411: The Hunted. It's free on Amazon Prime if you have it. If not, I think it was like $4 to rent.
If it's not free, it's worth it.
Yeah, I think it is worth it.
I paid for it on YouTube, so you guys can too.
Exactly.
YouTube has my credit card information, so.
Well, thanks for joining us in our first episode of our Monkeyscrolls podcast with no name, or it's just the Monkeyscrolls podcast. We haven't, I don't think, really decided yet.
Yeah, we're gonna call it the JRE podcast.
We're not doing that. We're not gonna do that. We're gonna call it Caleb is Kicked Out podcast.
Expect that at the end of every episode, guys. But yeah, like Joe said, we appreciate you checking it out. Let us know what you think in whatever medium you watch it in, and comment.
We're gonna try and make this a more usual thing. Maybe we are gonna try and make this a more usual thing where we'll all watch a movie and talk about it for a little bit. Any final words from you guys?
I just want to stress that everybody needs to watch this thing. There's so many good parts that we didn't even get into, but they're all perfect. We hit the best ones, but
yeah. I would say have an open mind. My book's going to be published in July 2021. And I'd like you all to just realize that our Bigfoot overlords care about us, and that the reason they experiment on us is for our benefit.
So I just like to. My final words on this are watch them. Watch the documentary and don't listen to anything Caleb says. And like our social pages, Monkeyscrolls on just everything. We're the only people named that, so you'll find us pretty easy.
Twitter, YouTube, the
Facebook,
website.
yeah,
Wherever we
especially
post
the
this, we'll
website,
put
yeah.
links. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Adios.
All right. Have a good one.